We are Cactus Wrestling. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.
Oh, welcome back to Cactus Wrestling.
Welcome.
So, 2025 wrestling season, we were just discussing what are some up and coming, exciting teams to keep an eye out for several different reasons. Not necessarily these teams are going to be the top five in 2025, but which ones are we excited to see in the upcoming season? And we're going to talk about all of the teams that we're going to talk about. As simple as that. So I think there's no better place to start because all the news and attention is on it. Is Oklahoma State Cowboys with
Pistols
their
firing.
new addition heavyweight Wyatt Hendrickson. He's staying in the Big 12. How exciting is it going to be for David Taylor and company in 2025?
I
This is
mean,
gonna. You
yeah,
go first. You go first.
this is gonna be great. Like Oklahoma State is definitely the team I'm the most excited to see how they perform next season. They got like a lot of big name transfers like Hendrickson, Hamity, Fish. They still have Plot. They got like those young guys, Williams, Jamison, Hughes. They even got Christian Carroll and Cody Merrill coming in. So one of them could slot into the lineup as well. Like even Teague Travis, like the whole lineup is like it's going to be very interesting, especially when you factor in the whole new coaching staff and how what kind of impact they're going to have.
There's also still time for a certain Alirez to make his decision of where he's going.
Or a
And
certain Kyle Parko?
yeah, so I mean
Or both.
this team
Or
can get
both?
pretty it can get pretty wild. If all the cards kind of fall in their favor, this could be a really, really competitive team.
Yeah.
Competitive enough to beat Penn State? Maybe that's a topic for another video.
Not I wouldn't say they're that far yet, but
Even if they got Parco and Alir as like I think they could be competitive, but beat them, that's I don't
In a duel or tournament setting, are you talking?
I mean, I feel like it'd be more likely that it could be possible to win in a dual setting than in a tournament setting. I
If
feel like
they
Penn
got
State has too many guys that would be title contenders compared to Oklahoma State's not going to have anywhere near as many title contenders.
I don't think a duel is that far fetched. If they got
Yeah,
both.
that's what I'm saying. Like a duel is the more likely setting if one of them was likely.
I'm just excited for the David Taylor era in Oklahoma and see how that goes. You know, John Smith had an incredible career there, and I think he was ready to move on. And man, did this Oklahoma State staff come together quick when you have, you know, David Taylor, Coach Kennedy, Coach Gilman. I mean, this is looking pretty significant already. And we've seen what David Taylor can kind of do at the high school level with M2 and his impact that he's had on guys like Levi Haynes and Tyler Kasak, who he coached for years in high school and was able to help get them to develop to the level they're at, a first place and a third place. Um, I don't think it would be that far off to say that he could help these guys jump levels. And again, I know some guys going to say, this is John Smith's slander, and if he couldn't do it, why could he do it? Um, I think it's fair to say the sport has evolved since John Smith started his coaching career, and you know, with that evolving wrestling, more coaches have kind of showed that these new methods, even as different as they may be, are bringing success. And while John Smith had a ton of success at Oklahoma State, I think this kind of fresh breath of air with David Taylor will help kind of propel them back to where they were as one of the top teams every year after year, and the most national champion team titles.
Now, despite David Taylor and company leaving Penn State, let's transition into Penn State because they just hired a one Nick Lee as an assistant coach,
I'm
and
excited.
they're retaining Carter Strachey, Greg Kirkley, Bo Bartlett.
Yep.
Those
Hey,
guys were
Nick Lee could train
seniors,
with Kirkfleet and Starachi. Great
so
training partner.
they're getting Alex Facundo potentially back into the lineup. We'll see potential freshmen Luke Lildahl and Josh Barr in the lineup. Do we think? I mean, this could be a whole separate video, but the reason to be excited for Penn State, among other reasons, continuing their success in the Kale era, is beating their record-breaking point total that they set last year, which is pretty insane when you think about it.
Well, I'm interested to see what kind of impact David Taylor, Thomas Gilman, Jimmy Kennedy's departure from Penn State, like if it has an effect on Penn State at all. Like if there is an effect, and if there is, how big of an impact is it?
That's going to be tough to measure, especially since Aaron Brooks was saying that he hasn't wrestled with David Taylor in 2 years because he was his competition.
Well, that's because David Taylor specifically was like, I'm not wrestling you because you're trying to take my spot.
And
Yeah,
then
but that makes me wonder how much was David Taylor rolling around with any of the other guys then?
yeah, I mean, I think I can kind of see that. I wonder how much David Taylor was coaching while he was there, and compared to just being a competitor, versus now he's fully into the coaching world. Um, I'm sure he was probably helping out now and then, but to kind of Jack's point, I also don't think he was like, oh, like, Aaron, let's go over this film, or Alex Facundo, hey man, like, let's break this stuff down. I'll roll with you today. I don't know if he was necessarily in that role, because he was still in, very much a competitor.
Was Jimmy Kennedy?
Oh, well, that's what I say. On the opposite foot, I believe Jimmy Kennedy was a huge part of why they had success at the lighter middleweights, 33, 41, 49. And his loss could be pretty interesting to see how it impacts Penn State. But now you have Nick Lee in there, who is a guy that's been there, done that. And I think he's going to be a great asset. But what we've recently found out, Nick Lee is not fully in coaching. He still plans on competing. So how much will that
Tom
impact?
Bradleying it.
Yeah. So how much will that impact? Is he a full-time coach to fully give his time to these guys to helping them get to that extra step that we've always seen, Nick Lee do and help guys along the way like that. But I'm so excited for this lineup. I really think this is, as crazy as it sounds, an even better team than last season.
Better.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some other teams that we're excited for?
I'm personally excited for Iowa State.
The
return of Paniro Johnson.
Paniro Johnson.
Well, yeah, among other things. I mean, they got like a large part of their lineup is back, but and if, I mean, Evan Frost, true freshman All-American, his brother wins the wrestle off and was gonna start until Echemendia went down because he wanted Swiderski in the lineup. Mm-hmm. But as far as I know, Echemendia's plans is to move up and wait because he doesn't want to go 41 again.
Yep.
So that means Frost and Frost are going to both be starting, and yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to be like comparable. And then you also got Echemendia, who's returning All-American. You got Johnson. I mean, he was seeded high enough to be an All-American his first year, but then fell off. So I mean, he's likely going to be in the lineup there. Gaitan was an All-American, not All-American, an NCAA qualifier. You got Younger Bastida, who, I mean,
the Grim Reaper,
kind of fell off.
The Grim Reaper, who we really were high on.
Yeah,
man.
but he broke his hand.
I don't know about this wee part.
He broke his hand in going into NCAAs. That's why
he broke his finger or hand or whatever it was, and came a win away from All-Americaning. I mean, who's to say how significant of an impact that was, but I mean,
Still got one more
gonna
year.
be a threat at very least to.
Well,
all
Mike was saying off camera how young, Mike Lawn was saying how Younger's gonna beat Greg.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what I said.
Yeah,
No, I mean I
here's a
think it.
poster of it.
Yeah, I have a signed Younger poster. It
Yeah,
just takes up all
he
the
made it
walls in my
himself.
house. But no, I mean it definitely will be interesting to see how he does with another year to kind of like fill into 285. I think he's got the athletic ability,
Well, I
but
mean,
I still
you
don't.
remember that stat? He had like 40 takedowns to one.
Yeah, I still don't see him beating guys like Greg Wyatt when it matters.
Well, we still have yet to see him wrestle Greg.
I just don't think it's going to be. I don't see it as an issue. I mean, controlled the entire tournament. The
I
only
don't
person,
know.
the wrestler I
Feldman
was meant to
kind
say,
of.
Yeah,
I would like.
The Feldman one's gonna be interesting because Feldman's
I
closed the gap every time they've wrestled.
I just think Greg's a lazy wrestler. I really just think he's like, I can win 1-0. I'm gonna win 1-0.
That's a good way to not repeat
That's
your.
how you
For
lose, though.
sure,
That's how you
for
lose
sure.
matches.
That's
Well,
how you Bo Bartlett.
that's for sure how it can happen. It's funny because Penn State usually is like, oh, we're constantly scoring points and we're getting after it, and it's like, well, Greg and Bo both will be like, oh, I won 1-0. Like, good day, man.
I won.
But what's interesting, and we're not going to talk about this team, but there's a guy at 285 that may or may not be returning. That some people are saying he has another year of eligibility.
I mean, he does have another year of eligibility. That's
I don't believe that still. I don't know how. Okay, so obviously we're talking about Gable Steveson, but I don't believe
he's
there
going
is.
to Buffalo.
Yeah,
You
yeah, to play for the Bills, maybe. I
don't think
from,
Donnie sweet talked him?
from what I was under the impression of is that Division 1 athletics, it's a running clock, and even though he might have tried to use the year for, uh, I guess an Olympic
Olympic red
redshirt
shirt.
year, I
Olympic red
don't
shirt.
know if they're going to grant it.
Stop
Um,
hating on this man's dream.
yeah, Gable, you shouldn't have left wrestling in the first place. Honestly, like that, it made no sense. It's like, hey man, I've had so much success. It's like, where do I go from here? Oh, the WWE, where they don't actually like follow what we do.
Yes.
It made no sense to me. And now I'd love to see him return to wrestling. I just don't see it happening, at least in the college setting. But if he does, it would greatly impact the 285 zone because now you have a guy like Greg who was going for hopefully another title, and it could really knock off Penn State's, winning the not winning, but breaking their own records.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
yeah.
comment down below. What do you think about the whole heavyweight situation with Gable? Is he gonna come back? Is Greg gonna two-peat? We'll see.
No.
Classic Mike hating on Greg Kirkfleet
Yeah, classic Penn State
specifically.
hater.
Two teams on the horizon looking inwards, I would say. We did a whole video about Little Rock. They're pretty much returning everyone, I want to say.
I mean, they got the Bianchis, they got Bailey, they got Little, they got Hill.
Which is so surprising given this state and age with NIL and transfer portal, how they
Yeah.
were able to retain those two.
Well, hey, their whole thing is family. How do
That's
you
true.
transfer out of the family?
That's true. But
With
still,
money.
like when you're given $500,000 to a kid in Colorado, your family's gonna say, take that money.
They're bred different in Little Rock, I guess. I don't know.
The other team I was gonna mention is West Virginia. West Virginia has a couple of stud recruits coming in that might start, might not start, but they also have Ty Waters, Peyton Hall, Jet Strickenberg, Jordan Titus, all returning. Michael Wolfgram, a heavyweight. Hulk Hogan, guy is absolutely yoked. And who was the other one? Rune Lawrence.
Yeah, Rune Lawrence is probably the best recruit that they have. I believe he's the highest for their class actually of 2024. Not to knock like other guys that they get like Hulk Hogan, not Hulk but Hulk.
Could be though.
Yeah, Rune Lawrence is like the number 12 guy in the class. I mean, he is right behind, Connor Mirasola. He's in front of guys like Jack Consiglio, Mason Gibson, Aiden Valencia, Kyler Larkin. He's ahead of Cole Mirasola. I mean, he's way like this is a very, very big recruit for them. That is maybe not getting as much attention, but
Hey, Tim
I'm not.
Flynn. Tim Flynn. I mean, he led Edinburgh to national contender C for so many years, and he is building this West Virginia machine. He's only been there what 3, 4. This is his 6th season there, and has already turned the program around.
But yeah, this is a guy that I wouldn't be surprised to see, possibly do some damage at 195. I mean, at 197 or 184 next year. He's number 3 in a really competitive weight class right now. You got Aiden Sinclair number 1 at 195, Connor Mirasola number 2, and Rune Lawrence number 3. And to be behind those two guys is saying a lot because, Aiden Sinclair just recently teched Josh Barr. And granted, it's freestyle, it's a little different, but Josh Barr has All-American potential for Penn State next season. Connor Mirasola.
You're just saying that.
I know, just saying it. You know how I love to hype up these Penn State guys. Speaking of Connor
We
Mirasola,
have no idea how Josh Barr is going to do.
I think you're going to be in for a surprise when he does pretty well. Like
didn't Rocco Welsh beat him in high school?
They had a series against each other, yeah.
And
But
Rocco
they were
Welsh
always
came up on top.
I think Rocco is up one match right now, yeah. But they were neck and neck matches. They weren't like, hey man, I pinned you, I teched you. It was back and forth. And if that's any indication of how he's going to compete at the college level, I mean, it's not a bad spot.
84 is one of the like returning, like both finalists are returning at that weight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Carter's going 84.
Because he's afraid?
I think he just wants to go 97. I think he's just going to hit the bulk.
Yeah, he wants to go 97 to avoid the chance of Kikaisen or Plop.
Kikaisen.
Yeah.
Kikaisen.
You're so close to saying it right.
I don't know why
Rounding out some of the other teams that we haven't mentioned, ACC, NC State, and Virginia Tech have been kind of at the helm of the ACC for several years. NC State's lineup is very interesting because they return pretty much everyone except they trade Trent Hidley, who is runner-up, and they replace him with Isaac Trumbull, who is a national title contender, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, he just gave Kyle Snyder like some really competitive matches with some crazy, crazy defense.
In
like
freestyle,
stopping Kyle Snyder's offense, which is bananas to watch.
But NC State should be good.
The only change, notable change, is at 74. Maddie Singleton replaces Alex Faison, which is probably a slight upgrade, given Singleton was a pretty high recruit. I think he was a top 50 recruit out of high school. And then in terms of Virginia Tech, they have hit the transfer portal pretty good. Connor McGonigal, Lennox Wallach are coming in. They got potentially Eddie Ventresca coming back at 25.
The return of Ventresca, who was what, 4-10 or something before they started starting Cooper Flynn.
Yeah. Connecticut native Ty Finn, potentially the starter.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think that they might get a replacement, and not to slight Ty Finn, but I just think that they might be going with someone like no, Dylan Campbell's too small. Maybe Gage Wright. He's ranked, 7th right now at 170. But he's a top 50 guy for the class of 24. We might be able to make it down there.
And not to mention, we never even mentioned Caleb Henson, who beat Olympian Austin Gomez last year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's true. Well, and not only that, he beat Ridge Lovett, who everyone had favored to win the whole thing.
You also got Latona coming back.
It's not coming back.
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
It's Magano.
Oh man, it's gonna be an interesting battle. Could you imagine McGonagall loses the spot, transfers again?
That would
Interesting spot. Yeah.
But you got Tom Crook, um, Henson. You guys
TJ
talked about.
Stewart, who took 7th
I'm
place.
I'm super excited for TJ Stewart. If he can just keep the momentum going, he's in a good spot. Andy Smith is the returner at heavyweight, but they also have Jim Mullen, who is, I believe, still trying to do football and wrestling.
no, that worked so well for the polar bear.
Yeah, I was like, it's not a good. It just doesn't. It's tough to do, man. It's tough to do. I don't know if he's going to stick with it. Um, but he was at one point he was the number 1 heavyweight and the number 8 recruit in the class of 2023. So
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see. Let us know if there are any other teams that are on your radar for the upcoming 2025 season. Who are you excited to see, and where do you think the remaining high-profile wrestlers in the transfer portal are going to end up? Like Kyle Parko, like Andrew Alirez. Are they going to stay put? Are they going to move? I think Kyle Parker is definitely moving because they got Larkin
I mean, you think
and
anyone else is
Williams.
going to come into the portal at once it reopens?
yeah,
Where's Terrell Bearclaw going to end up?
that's what I'm thinking. Where's this guy? He's a big recruit.
Is he
Let
gonna
us
follow-
know your comments down below, and thanks for watching Cactus Wrestling.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.